Okay, we're on Daf Pei Hey. No, Pei Hey, but we have to go a little back. Pei Dalet Amud Beis to get the Gemara's Kasha. Today's Daf is Pei Hey. So the screen shows a couple of pages ago. That's Pei Gimel Amud Beis where the Mishnah is, and we'll jump to the Gemara's Kasha. The Mishnah spoke about if the woman made a. This has nothing to do with the woman already. That's what I've pointed out yesterday. That at the end of the Mishnah has nothing to do with a woman with Hafara. Comes in Agab over here. L'chora. A person made a neder that Kohanim and Leviim should not benefit from him. So the Chayr doesn't have the right to do that because he's going to give Tumas and Maasros. And the Mishnah might be saying that they're allowed to take Tumas and Maasros. It's not his to be able to answer on them. But yesterday, at the end of the share, we said that the Yithwal Korcha does say that they take without asking him. Usually, by Tumas and Maasros, in contrast to Leket Shikhopeya, they don't have to ask any questions. It's forgotten, or the gleanings, or the pair that he leaves. So the Aniyim come, he doesn't decide who to give it to. So over there, it's not called that you're benefiting. Aniyim are not benefiting from the owner of the field. But by Tumas and Maasros, the owner of the produce does have the option to give it to who he wants to. So that would be considered a hana. Which the Gemara, the earlier sugi spoke about that's look at Shikopeh. The difference is that doesn't belong to. That's the point of Meiser Ani. Question was if he has a choice to give it or not. So by Trumas and Maasros, if he'd give it to who he wants, that definitely is going to be a benefit that Kohanim would be getting. So the Mishnah says Yitu al Korcha, they don't ask him, and the Trumas and Maasros themselves, he has no right to stop them. It's not benefiting from him. It doesn't belong to him. Tumas and Maasros Torah says he has to give out, but the issue would be about him deciding who to give it to. And that the Mishnah says Yitu al Korcha, they don't ask him, and they're allowed to take without his apportioning it. So far, sounds good. Kohanim Melu Levim Melu, but if he didn't say all Kohanim and Levim, he said specific Kohanim and Levim he's answering, but there are Kohanim and Levim that he did not answer. So Yitlu Achirim. So L'chora, the point is to say that all Kohanim and Levim be karon, he wouldn't be able to answer all. Even if he said specific ones, he wouldn't be able to answer them. Tumas and Maasros is not him. But since he has the option to give it to over here, that he did leave other Kohanim and Levim that he did not answer, so he still has the option of giving it to them. The difficulty is a little bit that it says Yitu Achirim. L'chora doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean Yitu Achirim. It would mean that he's allowed to give it to them, because why not? The people that he did not answer are allowed to benefit from him, and he's gonna decide who to give it to. These Kohanim and Levim that he answered cannot take it. He cannot give it to them, and he could give it to other Kohanim and Levim. So therefore, they're not allowed to take, because he has the option who to give it to, and he wants to give it to others that he's allowed to. Yesterday, the difficulty was, why does it say Yitu Achirim? It should have said he should give it to Achirim. Like Yaakov said yesterday that it's just Agav the Reisha, maybe Anachnami means to say here that he may give it to others, which sounds good. I had another option, maybe that it wants to be medayik that they may not take, that the Kohanim and Levim that he specified are usher, they may not take, because since he has who to give it to, so he has the right to give it to who he wants to. So Yitu Achirim is true that he may give it to others, but Yitu Achirim is to be medayik that the Kohanim that he did answer, not only he doesn't give it to them, they may not take it either. I think it also might be included in the Chiddush, which everybody probably agrees, that he may give it to who he wants to, and the Kohanim that he did answer may not take it even Bal Korcha, because it's his option to give it to who he wants to. So that was the Mishnah. It sounds pretty good.
We see that he does have the option to select who he wants to have.
Tumas and Maasros, definitely the owner is the one who has the choice to give who he wants to. Yesterday we spoke about Meiser Ani, but then we spoke about if it's Alagoran or what's in the house. Like at Shikopeya, always they take it about themselves.
There could be the two different.
Right, and now we're talking about Tumas and Maasros, which definitely it's the option of the owner to give who he wants to. But here that he answered them to benefit from him, so L'chora is pashut that he's not allowed to decide who to give it to, because then they're benefiting from him. Why did he choose this Kohen, this Levi? That's considered a benefit, so he's not allowed to. But they could take it without asking him. Yitu al Korcha. The Tumas and Maasros himself didn't become Maser, and he's not going to decide who to give it to. If he said Kohanim Elu, Levim Elu, he only specified certain Kohanim Levim that he's answering, so then he still retains the right to give it to others, and he can decide who to give it to. And these people are not allowed to take even without asking him, because he has the right to give it to others that he wants to. It seems to make sense. Everything seems to be very good. So we jump to the Gemara now.
Can you turn the camera on, please?
Thank you. Is that good now?
No.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Listen. Thank you. So we're jumping to the Gemara now on page Daled Amud Beis. And the Gemara has a problem with our Mishnah. We didn't have any problem. We made the Mishnah, everything went very nicely. And the Mishnah says, this first yellow line is going to be difficult. There's a concept called Tovas Hana. If it's considered money, is it considered money or not? Tovas Hana moment, Tovas Hana in a moment. What does Tovas Hana mean?
The decision, the right to decide who gets it.
The right to decide who gets it. Is that worth money? The Chorah is worth money. What?
Is that worth money?
Is that worth money? Is that considered money? Is that considered money? So
well, it's like doing a Torah for somebody, isn't it? Then maybe they'll do something for you.
yeah, that they're grateful to you. The fact that they're grateful to you is worth money. If you would have not the actual thing belongs to you, what?
How is it worth money exactly?
That somebody would be willing to pay you. If you have the choice who to give, something doesn't belong to you, but you're the executioner. Is that how you call it?
Yeah.
The executor,
You can divvy it
executor, whatever the word is. You're the one who gives it out. You have the right to apportion it. So people might give you some money for choosing them. That's one way to look at it.
Oh, there's a whole opera about that.
There's a whole
Opera about that.
Okay, or
They want to pay him. They're bribing him.
to choose them.
There's this. These are all the Yorshim, but there's an extra big
Lump
lot of
sum.
something. Yeah, and they all say, I'll give you something if you give me.
Right, so that could be maybe illegal. He's doing something wrong because he's supposed.
Could be,
But
yeah.
if there will be something legal that he really has the choice of who to give it to, like Trumas and Maestros, that it's his. He has the right to decide who he wants to give it to. His choice. He can give it to any Kohen he wants to. So the fact that he's going to choose to give it to one Kohen is worth money. People might pay him
But
for
a
that.
Cohen may pay for him to give it.
Right, so that's the side point that the Kohen is not allowed to pay him to get Truma. That's not the way it's supposed to be done. It's not honorable. It's supposed to be done. The Kohen's not supposed to give money to get the Truma. It's supposed to be a present. It's not supposed to be given. But
in theory,
it's worth money. They say that somebody else would be allowed to. Let's say a relative of the Kohen would be allowed to give money to a Yisrael and say, give your Trumas and Maestros to my relative, the Kohen. I have a cousin who's a Kohen, and I'd like him to get Trumas and
It's
Maestros.
worth your while.
It can say, be fair, I'll give you money for it. It's worth money.
Surely it doesn't sound good.
Why doesn't it sound good?
I don't know, it sounds like usury, I don't know, you using money
have the right to
to
give it-
buy toilet,
To buy
Tovot.
Tovot, he has a right.
Right, but
That's
Tovot
what-
is equal to all the.
He can give it
Now
to
it's-
he can give it to who he wants to. He has the right to give
it's
that
not
right.
actually paying for it.
So I'm saying the Kohen
So
himself is
you're
not allowed to. It's a relative. So that's one way I'd explain Tovos. And also they could talk about that. Like also you mentioned also that when you do give it to somebody, so then he has a chorus of Tov, he has gratitude, and that's worth money also. People having gratitude. One day it'll come in handy that somebody's grateful to you. So that's the question: is that Tovos are considered money or not? So the Gemara deduces from the fact that the Mishnah says that the Kohen Levim that you answered, the case of the Resha, the first case, that you answered all Kohen Levim. So you can't give it to them. You can't be the one to decide who to give it to because that's called Hana. They're benefiting from you. But the Mishnah says Yitlu Acherim Bal Korcha, Yitlu Bal Korcha, that they're allowed to Yitlu Bal Korcha, they're allowed to take the Tumas and Maestros against his will. That's the Mishnah. And the Gemara sees in that Tovas Hana is not considered money, or else they wouldn't be able to take. And I'm stuck right there. The Gemara is very difficult. I don't see that the Mepharshim are so bothered by it, but we just finished saying that he's not allowed to choose who to give it to.
Because he made this.
He made the nether that you're not allowed to benefit from me. So the Mishnah says they should eat Lubal Korcha, that the Kohanim come and they take without asking him. He cannot decide who to give it to because he said that you're not allowed to benefit from me. So they're not going to benefit from him. And they're not going to leave the Trumas and Maestros there for nobody to take. Somebody has to take it. So they come and they take it. And they don't ask him any questions. So where does the Gemara see in that Tovas Hana is not considered money? There is no Tovas Hana over here because he's not the one who's deciding who to give it to. The Chor of this line is very difficult. Is everybody with me? The Mishnah says that if somebody asked all the Kohanim Leviim to benefit from him, they take the Trumas of Maasros against his will. What does it mean against his will? That he doesn't decide who to give it to, because then they're benefiting from him. If he says you take it, so that Kohen benefited because he decided to give it to me. I benefited from you. Could have given it to somebody else. So we say that he cannot decide who to give it to, and they come and take it. Whoever comes first takes, and they didn't benefit from him. But the Gemara says no. Alma Tovas Hana in a moment. You see that if they're allowed to take that, means Tovas Hana is not considered money. How do you see if Tovas Hana is not considered money? Tovas Hana is considered money, and there's no Tovas Hana here because he's not deciding who to give it to. Very difficult.
Well, what happened to the oath? It doesn't
He made a neder not they shouldn't benefit from him,
so
and they're
what's
not
that?
benefiting from him because he's not deciding who to give it to.
Uh-huh.
But the Gemara doesn't say that. The Gemara says that you see they have gratitude. Why do they have gratitude to him for?
Because they're getting his.
He has no say in the matter.
Without having any say in the matter.
Oh, the fact that they get, oh, they're very happy. They're very happy you made a netter. Now we can just go take it.
That's called Tovas. What does Tovas Hana mean again? That's maybe a new definition of Tovas Hana. No, he's saying a new pshat in Tovas Hana, right? Tovas Hana till now meant that the fact that I have a right to decide who to give it to is that was Tovas Hana always.
That's Thomas of the mafresh.
That the person who gives it, is that considered a benefit? Yes or no?
I
And
think we're talking about the Thomas of the Macabre.
so what does Tovas Hana mean?
What Tovasana is
That
he?
he's grateful that the guy was mafresh is from nicer.
And his gratitude, it can't be translated into money.
Oh, he's grateful that he did the chiyuv of it, nothing to do with me, like it's nothing to do with him. It's nothing personal.
They have to. But you have to.
Like a shikopay, you don't say that. He did the miss like a shikopay. That's not a problem. So the Gemara has no issue about that. So we need a pshat. Where does the Gemara see something about Tovas Hana over here? There is no Tovas Hana since he's not deciding who to give it to. Should we go further and come back to this question? Well, hold it.
Nobody talks about.
So
it?
I found something that's Achron. I thought all the Rishonim are going to ask it. I don't see anybody asking it. Everyone's happy. Everyone's happy with the Gemara.
It says it's also in Pesachim and other places. Is that
No, that's the concept of Tovas Hana, but not this. I don't think this Gemara.
Oh, Tovasana, not that it's Eina Mamona.
Either yes or not. There's a still give. Tovas Hana is considered money or not. But the question is, our Mishnah says that he does not have the decision who to give it to. So what's the issue? There is no Tovas Hana over here. It's not a question if it's Mammon or not. There is no Tovas Hana. So let's go further. I have something to say, but I don't want to get so lumped right away in the beginning of the day.
Okay.
So I don't understand that. At this point, I don't understand the Gemara's kasha, but the Gemara sees somehow in this first halacha that the Kohanim take it without asking, without Baal Korcho, you must hold Tovas Hana Einamon. And right away, the Gemara asked from the next line, read on to the Mishnah. The next case of the Mishnah said that if you only answered specific Kohanim or Leviim, Kohanim Elu, Leviim Elu, Nenali, that I answered a certain Kohen, a certain Kohanim, certain Leviim, not the whole shave, but not everybody. So then, Yitlu Acherim, which we said means that those the Kohanim that he answered are Aser to take, the Kohanim that he didn't answer are mutter, and he's even allowed to give it to them because he didn't answer any anah. So even though it says Yitlu Acherim, it also would mean like he may give it to Acherim.
So that would show that Tovasana is Mamon,
What do we see? The Gemara's going to die.
That's what I would think.
Well, what do you see? How do you see Tovas Hana is Mama?
because he can decide who to give it to, just
Of
not
course.
to those two.
Yeah, so of course he could decide because, I mean, to the other ones he
To
could
the other
decide.
ones he can decide.
So of course he didn't answer the other ones. Why shouldn't he be allowed to give it to
That's
them?
Tovasana.
Why you didn't explain? Yes, but how do you see that it's worth money? How do you see that it's Mama? You mean to say Avalahani lo that it says only others can take, but he cannot give it. He cannot give it to the Kohanim that he
Not to
asked.
these two, right?
And to these Kohanim that he asked, he cannot. Why not? The Trumas HaMaasros doesn't belong to him, that he has to give to Kohanim anyway. But the fact that he's going to choose to give it to them, that's worth money. That's why he cannot. That's what the Gemara is medayik from the diuk, that it says he can give it to others, but he cannot give it to these. Why not? Alma Tovas Hana Mamon. So this part of the Mishnah, which is the Pashas, yes, it's true. That's how we learned the whole Mishnah. That the fact that you can decide who to give it to is worth money, and that's why you can't give it to somebody that you answered by no. This part we understand. But the first part of the Mishnah that the Gemara sees Tovas Hana in a moment that we didn't understand. We'll leave it in a question. Meanwhile, where does the Gemara see in the first case of the Mishnah that he asked it all the Kohanim and Levim? How do you see over there the fact that they're allowed to take it? How do you see that Tovas Hana is not worth money? So that's our question.
The fact that I can't give it to these Kohanim.
That I asked her these Kohanim. I asked her a
What does that
certain.
have to do with anything? The fact that I can't
Like-
give it to this,
No,
to some
no.
other Kohen.
No, not
shows-
that. The part that you cannot give it to them. Lahani lo. The fact that you could give it to others, that's fine. But how come you cannot give it to them? You asked it a certain Kohen. You asked it a certain Kohen, a certain Levi that you can benefit from me. So you cannot give them to Maisros. Let's make it, without the whole deal. If it would say in the Mishnah, if you ask it a certain Kohen to give him the Truma, he's not, you ask it a certain Kohen to benefit from you, you're not allowed to give him Trumas and Maisros. Even though the Kohen says it's not yours, Trumas and Maisros is not yours, you have to give it out. But yeah, but I don't have to give it to you. If I give it to you, you're going to be benefiting from me because I decided to
Oh,
give
and
it
that
to
shows
you.
that it's money.
So that shows
That
that's Tovas Hana, and that shows the fact that I can't give it to you because Mishnah only allows me to give it to others. It doesn't allow me to give it to you. Why not? Because Tovas Hana is worth money. That's what the Gemara sees in the blue. In the second case, and that makes sense. That we understand that the fact that you're going to decide to give it to a certain Kohen or Levi, that's a benefit to him.
So so it's the reverse, it's the negative of the first part. Then the fact that if I can't choose who to give it to.
That means that it's worth money.
Mhm.
Right? You can't if you want to say again. Maybe I interrupted. What do you mean to say? The first case or the second case?
The second case is that since I can't give it to you.
That shows Tovas Hana is worth money. The fact that I cannot give it to the Kohanim that I asked, it shows that Tovas Hana is worth money. I'm happy with that one.
uh,
The first part of the Mishnah says that if you ask it all the Kohanim and Levim, they take without asking. That the Gemara said we see Tovas Hana is not money, and that I don't understand because you're not deciding who to give it to. So where's the Tovas Hana over
I
there?
don't know, okay.
Okay, we'll leave it as a question, but the Gemara sees a steer in the Mishnah, is Tovas Hana worth money or not? Tovas Hana, again, what translating means the right to decide who I'm going to give it to, is that worth money or not? Is
To
that,
who? To the he who's allotting the maestros,
the one who's giving it out, is that
Give
worth
it-
something? If I decide who to give it to, that's worth money.
You could use it as favors.
That's what we're talking about.
So
That's
surely it is worth money.
Gemara has a
but it
question.
doesn't sound so clean.
The Gemara
That's
has
what
a-
it's
the Gemara is a machlokis or a question if that is considered a moment. Is that considered money? Tovas Hana, we know what Tovas Hana is. The question is, ain't a moment or yes moment? Tovas Hana, ain't a moment or Tovas Hana, yes moment? That's the Gemara contradiction. The Gemara is not saying what I think. The Gemara is saying that what it says. The Gemara is trying to deduce it. The Gemara is not saying, say as for, what do you think? The Gemara is saying that this part of the Mishnah is mashma, that it's not considered money. This part of the Mishnah is considered that it is considered money. That's the most contradiction.
Mhm.
Amar Pushaya. This is answer number one. Lo kasha. Hareb Yossi. I'm sorry. Hareb Yossi Rabbi Yehuda. We look around Shas. We find the machlokes if Tovas Hana is considered money or not. Who do we find? Machlokes Rabbi and Rabbi Yehuda. And that's how he's going to answer the Mishnah. That the two Mishnayos that differentiate between answering all Kohanim and answering these Kohanim is really nothing to do with the difference between answering all the Kohanim and these Kohanim. It's also very, very difficult at this point that there's really no difference between these Kohanim and all Kohanim. This part of the Mishnah holds Tovas Hana not Mama, and therefore they're allowed to take. And according to that opinion, they would be allowed to take also in the Sefer, a line later. And the one in the Mishnah, the one in the blue, the second part of the Mishnah that says that they're not allowed to take, would hold in the ratio also that they're not allowed to take. Very, very difficult to explain the Mishnah like that. But the Gemara thought that at least we found the machlokas about this issue. Is Tovas Hana considered money or not? And now we're going to dive into another case that has nothing to do with us exactly, and nothing about the Dharma at all, just a new subject. We could, start from here from scratch. Is Tovas Hana considered money? Here's a case, the Tanya. Somebody stole Tevel. Somebody stole Tevel and ate it up. How much does he pay? What is Tevel? That was untied. If you tied it, when you tied it, so then you get Chulin and Trumas and Maasros.
You're left with only 80%.
Let's say 80%. That the Chulin is only 80%. Let's say 20. That Maasros.
Chicago. I mean, this is about Chicago.
What's the difference? What's the
Well,
difference?
I mean,
He stole. The guy. He stole my Tevel. I had
Tevel.
had 100 kilo of Tevel. He stole it and he finished it up. And now we find the Ganav. So he says, pay me back 100 kilo of Tevel. He stole 100 kilo of Tevel. Pay me back 100 kilo of Tevel. So Rebbe says, yeah, you gotta pay back 100 kilo of tevel. Misham don't demote. Rebbe. Rebbe says, yes, you gotta pay back 100 kilo of tevel. If Yesh Rebbe says, how much was the 100 kilo of tevel worth to you? You have to give Chumas and Maisus anyway. All you would have gotten out of it was the 80%.
80%.
Only the Tchulin would have gotten out of it. If Yesh Rebbe Omer, just pay how much Chulin you could have gotten out of it, because anyway, Chumas and Maisus you couldn't have eaten anyway. You're not a Kohen. You're Yisrael. The one who was stolen from was Yisrael. He wasn't a Kohen. He wasn't allowed to eat the Truma that he would have separated. He's not a Levi to have eaten the Maisa that he got out. He's Yisrael. So you, Yisrael, I stole from you. What did you have out of 100 kilo of tevel? You only had the 80% of chulin, or 78%, whatever. You only had the 80% of chulin. So I'm paying back the 80% of chulin. What's the difference about the 20%?
Rabbi Yehuda is, we're assuming that this thief is a good Jew, and so he would have taken the fruit. I'm just asking, like, he would have taken the mice off.
The Ganav or the
Ganav.
The Ganav. What's the difference? We're talking about the
Because the Ganav can say, I'm a good Jew, so I steal, that's one thing, but of course I gave to the Kohen, I gave to the Levi, I gave my mice.
you stole it from me.
But what I have left, what do I have left? I did all those Meistering things, so now I'll give you the food.
So, but first talk about me. How much did I give? You took away 100. What?
He's receiving back money.
Who's receiving back money?
He's getting back the
Nignav
is paying.
The Ganav has to pay back what he stole. So what did he steal?
He didn't steal it. Let's say he's giving back money.
He's giving back money because he ate it. It says he ate it.
Yeah, he's giving back the money that he has to pay for. He has to pay for it.
So
Just
the
give the money.
monetary value that you would have had from this 100 kilos, only 80 kilos.
So that's the question. That's the question. The Nignav, one who was stolen from, is there a word in English for a Nignav? The one who's stolen from. The victim. The victim says, you took away 100 kilo of tevel and you're giving me back 80 kilo of chulin, and you're telling me that
Yeah,
I got back everything.
I wanted to give it to him.
So that he says I wanted to give it, and that's worth money to me. The fact that I had the choice to give it to you, gave it, even if you didn't eat it. First of all, you might have eaten it, but that doesn't make a difference. You have to know how much it's worth to me. I had value in the part of the Trumas and Maizers also, because I would have had the option of giving it to who I want to, and I would have had good friends. Or I might have even gratitude to me. I would have sold that right to somebody. It's worth money to me. So Yosef Yehuda disregards that. He just says you would have eaten 80 kilo of chulin, so that's what you get back. And the truth and mice that you would have given to somebody we don't care about. That sounds like he holds that in a moment. And Rebbe says you have to pay back the whole 100 kilo of tevel.
That's Tosin.
That's Tosin. Yes, mama. So we seem to find the machlokes about this concept. Nice. How we see it in our Mishnah are not clear yet, but in the Brisa, the Gemara seems to find the machlokes if you say Tosin or Machlokas. My labakim. If they're not arguing this machlokes, the top of pay hey. The Rebbe saw about Tosin or Mama. The Rebbe saw about Tosin or Enamam. Sounds like you found the machlokes. So the Gemara tries to get out of it. I'm just pointing out that even if it would be the pshat to be very difficult to plug it into our Mishnah, that the difference between Kohanim, Leviim, or Kohanim Elu, Leviim Elu is going to be that difference. Sounds very difficult. The Mishnah seems to differentiate between all Kohanim or these Kohanim. And he's saying there's no real difference. That's the difference between if you hold Tapas and a moment, very difficult to fit into the Mishnah, even if it would be true. But the Gemara goes on to say that you don't see such a machlokes. Lo, it could be the Kul Yam Tapas and a moment. Could be that the fact that you have the choice who to give it to is not considered money, and therefore basically Yehuda is right that you don't have to pay just pay back the chulin, just pay back how much chulin you would have gotten out of it. So why does Rebbe say here that you have to pay back the whole tevel? Here, don't forget the case is that it was not that he stole chulin and truma; he stole tevel. It was not yet separated. So you look at the whole mixture of tevel. And you talk about how much is a tevel worth? How much is 100 kilo of tevel worth more than 80 kilo of chulin?
How much more is it worth?
How much more is the 100 kilo of tevel? Even when you buy 100 kilo of tevel, you know that you're going to have to take off 20% for the Trumas and Maisers. But
it's still worth more.
It's worth more.
What's going to be left of?
Right. And why is it worth more? Why is it worth more? Because you're going to have the option to give it. What?
The value is more.
The value, why is the value? That the 20% is going to go to Trumas and Maisers. Why is it worth more?
Ma'aser Sheni.
So we're talking about it here. We're talking about the Truma and the Maiser that goes to the Kohen. It's a nice point that the whole Gemara could have spoken about. What's within this thing about the Tevel happened to the Maiser Sheni that's worth to him. But let's put that aside. They're talking about the part that would go to the Kohanim and Levium.
Uh,
So the
oh, you're
Gemara
saying
tries
that
to
has
say,
to come up.
what
You're saying 100% of Tevel value
is more?
should be equal the chula.
No, so really it is worth more. You know why it's worth more? Because after you separate the Trumas and Maasros, and you have the choice to give it to the Kohen, so that's worth money to you, the choice to give it, who you're going to give it to. So the more is
Yeah,
going to matter when I knock it down, that doesn't make a difference. What's the difference? As far as doesn't make sense. If the
But in
reason,
terms of the value, if you just. if you
yeah, but the terms of the value, that's really divided. If you think about it, why is it valuable more? What's the value of the 100 kilo of Tevel more than the 80 kilo of Chulin? Because the 20 kilo of Trumas and Maasros, I have the option who to give it to. It's true that it's not going to be worth the full value. It's not going to be the same value as the first 80 kilo. It's worth less. How much is it worth? Only how much I get the option of giving it to somebody. But now we're saying Tovos in a moment. So that's not considered a money, even though there's dollars and cents you do have, you're going to get money for it, but we don't value that as money. Hamdovit was bothered before. Why is it not? I don't know the story to say Tovos in a moment. Why not? The Ma'aseh said it's worth money. But let's, whatever reason, we're going to say that the fact that you have a right to decide who to give it to is not considered money. So the Gemara tries to say there's a difference if it's been separated or not. If you have Chulin and Truma, you just have Truma here, and you want to know, is the Truma worth anything to you? Truma is not worth anything to me because all I have is Tovos Ana in a moment. But if I have a mixture of Tevel, which is not yet separated into Chulin and Truma, so then I do consider it money. But the Gemara right away knocks it down. First, the Gemara, let's read the words.
Shalom Permo would mean that he did take off the Maasros.
Right, it was not. It was Tevel. That's what we said. The case was. It's not Hacha Ma'Iskina. Unless the case is Elahacha. Since it is Matana Shalahumu over here, it is the Matanos. The Trumas and Maasros were not yet separated because it was Tevel. He stole. What did it say here before? That he stole Tevel. How did the words go? Hagoniv Tivlo Shel Chaver. He stole Tevel. So that's the case that it was not yet Huram. So here the Gemara wants to say that Rebbe holds when it's not yet separated, then it is money. Again, that's why Rebbe holds that it is. If it would have been separated already, it would have had Truma. Truma is not worth any money to Israel, even though he has the right to decide who to give it to. But if it's Tevel, then Rebbe holds that it is. But the Gemara says it doesn't make sense. In a moment, Mali homo, Mali lo homo. If you say that how much the value is worth to give it is not considered money, so there's no difference if it's separated or not. What's the difference between the Truma, which has been separated, and we say that's not worth anything to Israel, even though he has the right to decide who to give it to? And what's the difference between Tevel and the Chulin?
Yeah.
It's only because of the extra Truma, which is going to come into being when I mafresh it, and then I'm going to have the right to give it. So this doesn't make sense. If you hold Tovos in a moment, then also the difference between the Tevel and the Chulin is also ein amam. That's all it is. It's just the amount that you can get for deciding who to give it to. So that didn't work. So far, the Gemara is back that there is a machlokes between a Rebbe and a Reish Yehuda, Tovos and Amam or not. That the machlokes, if you have to pay back Tevel, or you have to pay back only the Chulin. But it does still not.
And we just knocked down that everybody said Tovos Ana is not Mamon.
Right. So back to what we started. Rabbi is back on that he says the Chana machlokes Rebbe and a Reish Yehuda, Tovos and Amam or not. So that could explain our Mishnah could be explained. That the Reisha holds that it's not Mammon, and the Seif holds that it is Mammon because we find such a machlokes. But now the Gemara is gonna successfully knock it down. Ella, not knock it down that it cannot be, but the Gemara is gonna say it's not muchach. It's not for sure that's what they're arguing about. Ella, hainu time at the Rebbe. It could be that Rebbe holds something else. Really, Tovos Ana is not Mammon, so therefore you only should have to pay back the Chulin. How come Rebbe says that the Regan have to pay back the whole thing that they made Tevel? That they made a knas to the Ganav, that he should make sure not to steal again. If we're going to tell him just to pay back the Chulin, he might do it again and steal 100 kilo of Tevel and only pay back 80. And who knows what he's going to do with the 20 kilo? He's saying that he's a good Jew, he's going to give it to the Kohen, maybe not, maybe he'll leave the Tevel, whatever the case is, or whatever he'll do with it.
They don't give him that privilege.
Or he'll take the 20 kilo of Tevel and take off Trumas and Maasros and have
Even
18
even if his choice of who to give it to is not
Mammon, but we want to make sure the Ganav doesn't steal. So we made a knas that he should pay back the whole thing. So it's not proven that Rebbe holds Tovos Ana Mammon. Maybe he also holds Tovos Ana ein Mammon. Also, you can go the opposite. I could say that Rebbe Yehuda, the other one, that says you do pay only the Chulin, you pay only the Chulin, even though Tovos Ana is Mammon. You can say it the other way. Now the Gemara goes the other way. You can say that this is the Russian's explanation.
This is also Kanas.
you could say knas the other way. I could say, first the Gemara thought that everyone's being without any knas. If not any knas, and he says you paid the Tevel, he says you paid the Chulin, it seems to arguing if the Tovas and is moment or not. But you could knock it off either way. I could say that everybody holds Tovas and is not money, and Rebbe's machmer to pay the Tevel in order to Ganav should have a deterrent.
Yeah,
And there's another way also. You can say everybody holds Tovas and is mammon, and it's really should have to pay the whole Tevel. But we want to make sure that the Balabais doesn't do this again. Means the Balabais also has a bit. What did the Balabais do?
when
He left around the Tevel. What's the Tevel doing around in your house? Why did he give it right away to the Kohen? The fact that he had it around his house and he made it vulnerable.
It is mammon.
So this way
is
the-
a kanas
Right,
against
so
him.
you can always-
You don't get the choice of who to give it to.
You don't get the money back. Right, you're going to lose out the money.
You lose out
The privilege, the value that was stolen from you to give back because you held around the Tevel. Don't keep the Tevel around. Give it right away to the Kohen and the Levium. Don't keep it around. And if he knows that if it's going to get stolen, there's no insurance. Usually there's an insurance that if somebody steals from it's theft insurance. The police find the gun and he gets paid back. But here we say that even if they're going to find the gun, you're not going to get back the Tovas Anah. So better give your Tevel out, give your Trumas and Maisvus right away.
The Shahid to Litzavela, leaving it around
Right. Tivle is to his Tevel. Lishe is to leave it around. Shoesh, like Shahir,
to wait.
to leave it around.
Yeah.
Right. So we knocked off Rabbi Shaya's source that he found the machlokas of Tovas Anah Mammon or not. And therefore, back to our Mishnah, we're not going to make such a machlokas. We're not going to invent such a machlokas. We don't know of such a machlokas. So we have a contradiction in our Mishnah that we didn't reconcile yet.
And we don't, and maybe there is no machlokas. Okay.
The baby is no machlokas, and therefore we're not going to invent a new machlokas to say that our Mishnah there's a machlokas. We don't know of such a machlokas.
Okay,
So back
the
to the
problem is that
contradiction.
we really don't see the first part of the.
Right, that's in the freezer.
That's the first one.
Now comes the
Take
answer.
that, okay.
We'll come back. I'll try to say something, but I'm just surprised that it's not so
So at this
spoken.
point, we have a, what do you call it, a steer in
Right. Still in the Mishnah from one sentence to the next. In the first sentence, it seems, we don't know why, but it seems Tovas Anah is not considered money. And the second sentence, it says Tovas Anah is money because it says that the Kohen that Yasin you cannot give it to them. Rav Amar, Shani Chuma, the Hainu time of the Yitul Al Kochel. The ratio, I'll explain the ratio. Really, Tovas Anah is not money. Is yes money, is money. Really, Tovas Anah is money. That's why in the Sefer, he cannot give it to the Kohen that Yasa because he's choosing to give it to them. That's worth money. How come in the ratio?
What is true mean?
Our case of Truma, that Yitul Bal Koch. Our mission that when he asked it all Kohanim, they may take it, and we don't say Tovas Anah's money.
The reason that they can take it is
Mishum, the Truma lo chazia ela lekohanim. Only Kohanim can eat Truma. And since he's coming to Asir on all the Kohanim, that's what he wanted to do. He said, no Kohanim may benefit from me. Shavya, which means that he usually has the right to give it to, but now he's asking any kind of benefit. So he's taking away that benefit that he has. Shavya Afra Ba'alma. He made it to be dust. He took the Truma and he made it dust. How do you take Truma and made it worthless? How did he make it worthless? Because it's only fit for Kohanim. It's not fit for him. What is fit for him? He answered because he said they can't benefit from it, which means he said, I'm not going to benefit any of the Kohanim. No Kohanim will benefit from me. It means he's not going to be able to decide who to give it to. So the Tovas Anah, he made worthless.
I thought you meant the whole Truma. They look worthless.
The whole Truma,
Worthless, but since it's worthless, now anybody can take it.
again, how do you say?
The whole Truma is worthless because
It's only worthless. It's only worthless to him. I mean, it's Truma.
As far as he's concerned, it's happening.
As far as so what does that mean? So the Gemara is saying that it's not his. The Gemara seems to answer that it's not his. The question was
He made a neder that he won't give to
any of the Kohanim. So he made it. It's a way. The way Abnishan is saying that he made it. He disowned it. It's not, as far as he's concerned, it's not worth any money. The reason why they could take it, and it's not benefiting from him, Tovas Anah, which the whole time, each time I say the sentence, it doesn't make sense because there's always this freezer over there that says that he's not giving it to anybody. So what are they getting from him? The question is like so bolate that it's hard to say the sentence. But keep on thinking of the freezer the whole time, that the freezer, that every time I say it doesn't make sense, that really it is worth money, the fact that he has the choice who to give it to. So they shouldn't be able to take the Truma, Bal Kocho. But the fact that he answered himself, all the corn to benefit from him, he can't eat it. He can't eat it. It's not worth it. Only corn. His only thing he had was he has a choice who to give it to. And now that he answered himself them to benefit from him, he made it as if it's worthless for him. And therefore they're allowed to take it. It's not called they're benefiting from him. Those are the words of the Gemara, and needs a lot of explanation. So I have a small possibility that there's a sefer called Nedarim that I saw in these Mesivta, the ones that help out with the Gemara, and I very surprised that the Rishonim don't find difficulty on the page. Rashi, Tosfos, the Ran, the Rush, like nobody seems to have any problem. So maybe some basic misunderstanding that I have, but I'll try. That sefer seems to say, of course he's not going to be able to give it to who he wants to. That's what we started off. That the Kohanim come and take it without asking him. But when he answered him, when he said, I'm answering the Kohanim to benefit from it. He asked all the Kohanim will to benefit from me. So they're not allowed to benefit from him, anything, right? How about the giving of the Trumas and Maasros? Is the Trumas and Maasros mine? The Yisrael who's Mafish Trumas and Maasros doesn't belong to him. Till now, the way I said it the whole time is that the Tovas Hana is like a separate thing. There's the food. The food is not yours. The food doesn't belong to you. It's Trumas and Maasros, right? But the Tovas Hana, as if there's like a separate thing. There's the food. The food is not mine. But I have Tovas Hana. That's a separate thing. I have the right to give it to. Like it's a different package. And that I asked it myself. So you can't do that. The lamdas they seem to say is that if I have Tovas Hana in the food, then the food is mine. Even though the truma, mitzad the truma, the food, the homer, the material, I have to give to the kohanim, so it's not mine. It still is mine because I have the right to decide who to give it to. If you say Tovas, right?
It's mixed in.
It's mixed in, and that's called mammon. Means it's mammon in the thing, not that I have this like the Chaim David was saying that. How could he say it's not money? How could he say it's not money? Of course, that right is worth money. But do we look at it that it's part and parcel of the thing? I have 100 kilo to give. Is it mine? If I only have the right to give it, I could eat it, I could drink it, I could use it. So then it's mine. That's what ownership means. I have rights to it, but I have no rights to it. The Torah says separate it and give it.
Right.
So I don't own it.
All the time I didn't get Maasros Shumas. It's not mine. All the time I didn't mafresh Maasros and Shumas. I have no bias in any
No.
part of it.
I would think the
We're
opposite.
talking about the Trumas and
Temple-
Maasros, not
temple
that.
belongs to-
We're talking about Trumas and Maasros.
Maasros himself.
Yeah, I separated Trumas and Maasros.
Oh, are you talking about the?
I separated Trumas and Maasros, and now I want to know, is it mine? If you hold, now, what do I have? I don't have a right to eat it.
That's what bothers me, because it's not mine, it's Kodesh. It's Kodesh to the kahuna. You have no bias in it.
So there's a concept
That's
called
my
Tovas
problem.
Hana. If I have the option of who to give it to, maybe that makes me an owner of it.
Yeah,
I own
okay,
it.
I mean,
Right, and as far as what
such
do
a
I?
stretch, you know.
No, it's not a stretch. How much do I own it? Why do I? What do I own it? I can't eat it. I can't drink it. I can't.
The
I know what I
decision-
can
can
do.
give it.
I can.
I have to give it.
The decision.
I have the right to decide who to give it to. That I do have ownership. So that's considered that I own this thing. This thing is mine. You know what it's mine for? It's not to eat and to drink, but it's mine to decide who to give it to. And
But when
that
you
is,
make something hefker,
if it's hefker, then it doesn't belong to you.
then
Man is coming to say, I asked the Kohanim and Levim to benefit from me.
mhm.
Is the Trumas and Maasros considered his?
No, because he doesn't have the option
He
to.
does have an option. Again, before he made right now, I'm coming, now I answer myself, but the question is that I answer this thing. I ask you to benefit from all my estate. I have $100,000 estate, and I also have Trumas and Maasros. It's $100. Trumas and Maasros that I have is $100. Is that included in what I answered? When I answered you, Levi, to benefit from my estate, did my neder also include the Trumas and Maasros?
It can't.
So it depends if it's mine or not. Is it mine?
I would say the neder takes away that choice for him.
No, the question is the neder chal on it first? Of course he's not allowed to give it. That's the Mishnah says. Of course he's not allowed to give it to the Kohanim. Of course he's not allowed to give it to the Kohanim. It says Yitu Bal Korcho. That wasn't the Mishnah's discussion. Of course he's not allowed to actually give it to them. But the question is, is the Truma or Meiser, is his neder chal on the Trumas and Meisers? If he doesn't own it, he doesn't have a right to answer them because it's not his. If he owns it, he has a right to answer them. The Gemish's kasha, the Morris kasha, Alma Tova Salam, Ein Momon, because how are they allowed to eat it? Even if they take it Bal Korcho. Even if they take it Bal Korcho, when they said, it's true that now he's not going to decide who to give it to. But when he said, I'm answering you on my estate, is that considered his estate? At the time when he answered it, he did have the right to decide who to give it to. That's what he's answering. But he answered, he didn't say, I'm asking you to take Trumas and Ma'aser. I answered you on my estate. Is the Trumas and Ma'aser part of your estate? Does it belong to you, B'chalal? If it doesn't belong to you, so when you say, I'm asking you on my estate, it's not included. I can't ask something that doesn't belong to me. But if you say that the fact that I have a right to decide who to give it to makes that it's considered mine, so when I say that I'm answering you on my estate, it is included. And you're not allowed to benefit from my estate. You want to know now if I'm going to be able to give it to who I'm going to give it to? No, I can't decide who to give it to but the question is, does it become usher? They shouldn't be allowed to eat it, even if they take it by himself, because they asked him on his estate, and he had the right. He had the right who to give it to. So when he said, I'm answering you, he asked them on the Trumas and Ma'aser also. If it's good, it's good. If it's not good, it's not good.
I thought you're making an argument for that it is money.
I'm trying to explain how does the Gemara see in this halacha that the Kohen Levim can take it against his will. How do you see Tovos and Inamo? The yellow. How do you see in this halacha? How do you see that it's not money? What if it is money? So I'm saying if it's money, so then this Trumas and Ma'aser is considered his. And when he says, I'm asking you on my estate, the Trumas and Ma'aser is also included. He had a right to make an Isser on the Trumas and Ma'aser because it's his. They wouldn't be able to take it even if they take it without asking him. Because the Trumas and Ma'aser became Isser because he answered his estate, and this is his estate also. In what way is it his estate? Because he has certain rights to it. That right is considered his money.
He's still not allowed to also to the Kohanim. It doesn't, that much doesn't belong to him.
Again, if your whole Tovos and is money, then it belongs to him.
All the Tovos no, but not the actual.
No, that's the chiddush. That's the chiddush. That the Tovos and is not a separate package. That the Trumas and Ma'aser is physical wheat, and that I don't own. I just own an invisible ghost corporation of the right of who to give it to. The execution, not execution. What do you call them? Executor. And the executor is there's the wheat. That's physical wheat, and I don't own that. But as the executor, I have that's my money. My money is going to be my
like a agape tzedakah. He has the right to give out to the tzedakah, but the tzedakah doesn't belong to him.
Now the Gemara is saying a chiddush. If you hold Tovos on his mom, so then he owns the tzedakah. Now I know he's not allowed to own the stock and take it for himself. And
but that's
his.
He has managing rights.
That's what we're talking about.
He's not an owner.
That's the question. That's what the Gemara is talking about. That's what we're talking about. Is it called mammon or not? The fact that you have managing rights, executive rights, executioning rights, does that make that it's considered yours? And the Gemara saw that even if you're not going to, that's what the Gemara meant, maybe. That Alma Tovos in a moment, the fact that they're allowed to take it without asking, but they're allowed to eat it. How are they allowed to eat it? You asked it your estate, and this is your estate. The fact that you have, let's make it just for a second. I can't go too much further because I don't understand too much further. But let's say you only have, you have something, and you only have eating rights to it. You only have eating rights. That's all you have. You only have eating rights. It doesn't. You have nothing else. He doesn't have a right to eat.
Yeah.
Is that considered ownership? That if I answer my estate, that also becomes usher? I come to a restaurant. What is? I don't know if it's a good
You're a guest at somebody's house and they serve you a plate of food.
Okay, that's the question. If it's his or it's your food.
Well, let's say it becomes to his.
If it comes his, let's take maybe another case. You go to a restaurant and they say for $5, eat as much of it as you can.
Eat as much
Right.
So he comes.
Say the whole restaurant is his. He has rights to the whole restaurant.
So he has rights to all the food in the kitchen. That as much salad as there, he's allowed to eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
So is that called that it's when he says I'm answering, then he tells his neighbor, I'm answering you on all my food, all my estate. Then he wants to get, then he orders some salad. He says, no, you can
You
order
can't
salad.
eat it, that's my stuff.
I have the rights to
That's
it.
the-
So I'm just giving him much, I don't know if
We
it's
had that-
true.
We had that in the Gemara. That,
We
that
had
if
it.
his mother and they can't eat from the same plate.
If what?
because His mother not from his friends, so they can't eat from the same meal because if he's eating, he's taking his portion. We had that. It's the thing.
He's benefiting. So that's that as an idea, that maybe Tavasana, besides looking at it as just a managing rights that has nothing to do with the object, if you have managing rights, so you're called, that's, if you have Tavasana in the object, it's called that you have ownership of the object. Of course, you can do what you want with it. You only can do, but that's called that it's yours. And therefore, you, when you answer your estate on Anah, you're going to answer that also. Maybe the Shalmi Nedarim says that. And the Gemara's answer at the end is that even if you hold Tovas Anah Mammon, since maybe the Gemara is falling off, I'm not sure. Here the Gemara says that now he made it considered that it's worthless. That since he said the Truma is only beneficial for the they're only like Kohen could eat it, and he is answering himself on the rights to execute it, to give who to give it to. He answered himself to benefit. So he's saying that he's mistalek. He's by
Gave up those rights.
by making the neder. I was talking about till now when he had a right to make a neder. So he asked it. But now if he says that I'm answering myself, so now he's taking away those rights. He has nothing. It's considered dust, and therefore the taking it not. It's not the thing is the wheat is not wheat. The wheat is dust. The wheat is not worth anything to him. He has nothing in it. Maybe. Okay.
I like the baby.
What?
I like the baby.
Okay. I got it. I mean, we found it in this Masifta in the Shalmi Nedarim. He doesn't ask it exactly the way I asked it, but it seems that's what he's saying. Okay, if that's happy, if everyone's happy, it's a good day. Next Mishnah. Konim she'en yosa al pi abba, val pi abicha, val pi achi, val pi achicha, any yochal afer. She made a, back to the woman, she made a neder that she's not going to give anything to her father, or his father. My
I
father, your
won't do
father.
anything by.
I'm not gonna do anything for for my father's mouth.
Mhm.
She's already ready. She doesn't. I'm not gonna do anything for my father, or for your father, or for my brother, or for your brother. All those things. Any yachal. She answered herself. She answered her work. We'll start off simple. She answered her work, whatever her handiwork, whatever she makes is answered to her father. But she's answering her ma'aseh yadayim. She cooks. She makes things. So I'm answering all of ma'aseh yadayim, all of my handiwork. I'm answering on my father, or your father, or my brother, your brother. Any yachal. It seems that the neder takes effect. And the husband wants to know if he could be mefer. So no, we tell him not. It's not in nefesh. She's not afflicting herself, and she's nothing to do with him. She has nothing to do with him just because she's not going to give her father or his father. There's nothing to do with him. So he has no rights to be mefer. The neder is chal, and she can't. They can't benefit from her. How about shen yosela al picha? That you're not. I'm answering my handiwork on you. So
You mean
then-
her husband?
on her husband, yeah, he says. She says, "I'm answering my handiwork on you to your mouth. You can't benefit my handiwork."
She
so-
can't, I thought.
Right. Oh, so surely it's not self-affliction, right? It's not
It's
self-affliction,
not self-afflicted.
but it is Ram Shebein Olavena that
Yeah.
it's affecting him. So we would expect the Mishnah would say that he could be made for. But the Mishnah goes even further. In a tzarich l'hafer, it doesn't even have to be made. Why? Because what Leib Yaakov said that she's obligated to give him to make food things for him, to make food for him. So he doesn't have to be made fair because it doesn't take effect.
Mhm.
First, the Mishnah said that in the first case he cannot be made fair. The second case, it doesn't say that he could be made fair. Surely he could be made fair, but it says stronger. He doesn't have to be made fair because he has no right to make such a neder.
We had earlier, wasn't it Rebbe Gamliel? Somebody said, go ahead and do it anyway. The whole thing.
Very nice. Rabbi Gamliel said that even things that she is obligated to do, so be made fair anyway, that she shouldn't come. Very
Do it
nice.
anyway.
Very
She says
nice.
she
That
doesn't.
very nice. That maybe Rabbi Gamliel will argue in the Mishnah and say, well, in order to make sure she doesn't make Nedarim, so you have to be made fair in order she should learn how that's serious. Very nice.
Excuse me.
Very nice. Probably Rabbi Gamliel would argue. Rabbi Kiva Omer Yofer. Rabbi Kiva says it is important to be made fair. Of course, you could be made fair because it's the all the way. No, it's things that affect him. Of course, he could be made fair. Tanakama said you don't have to because anyway she's obligated and she can't answer her work on you. But Rabbi Kiva says there is a reason yes to be made fair. Maybe she's going to work more than is coming to him. Means that she has an obligation to make to do some things for him. Let's say whatever it's going to be, supper. If it's going to be a certain amount of work she has to do, they used to spin thread. We saw in Ksubis that the woman has a side job. They have to get supplement. They have to do some Masiyadayim. What is that? Right. Right over there talks about Yehuda and Galil, and if it's wool or if it's Shesi or Erev is harder. Shesi is harder to make. So there's a certain amount of work that she has to work.
Certain value that she has.
A value she has to produce. There's a certain amount of income she has to bring in.
And what's this more?
And she might make more. So the part that she's obligated to her husband to work, so then she can't answer it. She couldn't have answered it. So that part you wouldn't have to be made for. But if Akiva says it could be she's going to make more than she's obligated to, and then she's not obligated to you, and therefore the nether will take chal. And you don't want to be us around that extra that she makes. So therefore, it is kedai to be made for. You surely could be made for. It is considered from Shabbat Olavena. It is interfering. It is interfering with the marriage. She's doing something which causes an amas. It's not a lot of benefit from her. It's a asa.
If he doesn't make for it,
So it's going to be chal.
The extra.
The basic amount that she has to make. So then, even if he's not made for it, doesn't take effect because she has no right to make such a net that she's obligated to him.
okay.
But if she makes more than she's obligated to,
she can keep it.
right, and then she could answer it. If she answered her Masiyadam, so it becomes answer to him. So it is worthwhile to be made for.
I see. Mhm.
And he has the right to be made for because it is it does interfere with their marriage.
So that's a different reason than Reuben Gamliel.
Right.
This was-
Yeah, it was a side point. Even though there's no
Yeah.
reason to still do it,
Oh.
that's a nice point.
Okay.
And Rabbi Yochanan Manui says another reason why it should be made for. Maybe he argues another reason. Yafer Shema Yigasheno Tiyasur Allah. This Dvarim should be if he's not made for. So how long is she obligated to him? As long as they're married. So as long as they're married, it's true that she's her handiwork doesn't become muscle because she's obligated, and that doesn't take hal on that. But if she eventually divorces her, so then it does take effect. And then he wouldn't be able to marry her back anymore. The only reason that it didn't take effect is because she's obligated to him. But once she's not obligated to him, so it does take effect. And then he can't marry her back because he's also to benefit from her Ma'aseh.
Oh, and he has to be able to benefit from him. also.
Yeah, well, once they're going to get married, he has to be able to benefit. And they say that it's impossible to live with a woman and not to benefit from her. If she's going to be caught, whatever she does, he won't be able to benefit from her Ma'aseh. It's not a marriage at all. So he's not going to be able to benefit from her. So he won't be able to remarry her. So therefore, he should be mefer. And mefer, what we said the one before, when someone's mefer, so it's if it's inu nefesh, then it's absolutely nullified. If it's it's nullified as long as it is relevant to him. And the Gemara said before that it's relevant to him even after he divorces her, because he might take her back. It's only irrelevant once she marries somebody else, then he can't take it back anymore. So the Mishnah says, it's kedai to be mefer in order to be able to marry her back.
For this future potential problem.
Right.
Well, how would the Tanakama deal with that? They didn't worry about the future problem. It's not so usual or something.
He didn't consider it.
He didn't think about it. He didn't think
They
about
didn't
it.
consider
It's
But no,
just-
but then
it's just an advice.
That's the question. The question is if there's machlokes going on. It means that Bekiva also. Bekiva said there's kedai. We also say another reason why it's kedai. Are they arguing that there's no machlokes? So that's going to be in the Gemara. We'll see something. So far, the first part of the mission is the Chor Pashat that if she made a net, there's no relevance to him. It's not inu nefesh. It's not dvarim shebein olaveina. So surely he cannot be made for that question.
Mhm.
Not the case was, but if she did something that is dvarim shebein olaveina, that he can't benefit from her handiwork, so he surely could be made for him because it's dvarim shebein olaveina. It's not self-affliction, but it has something to do with them. It interferes with their marriage, so he could be made for him. But the question is, does he have to be made? Tanakam says no reason to be made for, but she's obligated. Rabbi Akiva says she might make some extra that she's not obligated, and you'll be over. So it's kedai to be made. Rabbi Yochanan says it's another reason it's kedai to be made for, or a different reason, because if he divorces her, so then it is chal because she's not obligated anymore. So therefore, be made for it. So if he divorces her, he will be able to still marry her back because the neder did not take chal as long as she doesn't marry somebody else. That's the Mishnah. The Gemara is l'chora. The Gemara, I'll start off. It might change tomorrow, but it starts off as if the whole issue doesn't make sense because this Ma'aseh Yadayim does not yet exist. She's answering her Ma'aseh Yadayim. Her Ma'aseh Yadayim didn't come into the world yet. She didn't make the hand. It's not that she made something and now she's saying that this thing is usher. She's saying my handiwork is usher. Her handiwork didn't yet come into the world. That's called Davar Shalom Ba'Olam. Can she answer a Davar Shalom Ba'Olam? The whole Mishnah, the whole Mishnah. Amar Shmuel, Allah HaKebirchem Menuri. So he passes like Rabbi Yochanan Menuri. There seems to be a machlokas going on. That is Yafer because he'll divorce her. And the Gemara's kasha is this is the whole thing. Davar Shalom Ba'Olam. the name of the Kasava Shmuel or the Makdash Davar Shalom Bala Olam. If you see that a person could answer Davar Shalom Bala Olam, or here, yeah, Davar Shalom Bala Olam. So if you hold of our Mishnah, it sounds like you hold that other Makdash, other Hektish and the Dom seems to be the same thing. The Gemara starting off that there's no difference between Neder and Hektish as far as Davar Shalom Bala Olam. Neder is a kind of a Hektish. Konam, you're making it also like a carbon. If you hold the other Makdash Davar Shalom Bala Olam, so then you wouldn't be able to answer with a Neder Davar Shalom Bala Olam. And this whole Mishnah, right?
You can't explain the whole Mishnah that is talking about things that she made already.
That sounds, well, there was about.
Rabbi Yochanan Menuri, who said
Also, the Shema Tadif also is not talking about, to keep also Shema Tadif, she might, right?
the Hadassah.
Shema
What she
Shema
ate.
Tadif, that she's going to. You're saying that Shema Utfa, that maybe she did. But, and it seems,
Menuri is definitely talking about.
maybe it's not because he's talking about Shema Gashana, it surely didn't come into the world yet. And, okay, I hear. The rush, and all the Mepharshim, I see it, or not everybody, but here's the rush on the bottom line. Where's that? The bottom line, the rush says that it's considered a double shalom b'olam. That there was no divorce. So it means that whatever she's going to make after he divorces her is not here yet, and it wasn't made. I thought it's two different points, that it wasn't even made in the first Mishnah. So I'm listening to saying that you could be matrik the Mishnah besides Rabbi Akiva, that the Mishnah means whatever was made already. Okay, the case of the divorce is surely that it was not yet made, and that's the more kasha that if you hold that ain't of the makdash davar shalom b'olam, ain't of them also davar shalom b'olam. So then, what are you being made for over here? The fact that you say you have to be made for because this is a problem, it must be that you hold Adam makdash davar shalom b'olam, and the kasha is that Shmuel says differently. Not that he asked it, but he was makdash it. Her husband was makdash the handiwork of her wife. And again, the Gemara thinks that it didn't yet come into being; it didn't exist yet. So
No, where did Shmuel come?
Shmuel Paskin like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. I should have highlighted it to say what he said. I just made it without anything. Amar Shmuel, this was his statement. Amar Shmuel, Allah Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri.
I see.
And that was asking if you pass like Rabbi Yochanan means you hold Adam said Davar Shalom B'olam because she didn't make it yet. She didn't produce this thing yet. And Shmuel holds someplace else. Other end of the Makdash Davar Shalom B'olam. Where do you see that? A Makdash Maisi de Ishto. A different Mishnah. Is that a Mishnah? I think it's a Mishnah. There was Ksubas, we've been there. Amakdish Maisi de Yishto. Harezu Osa Bochelas. She, even though her handiwork is hektish, whatever she makes, the chor is hektish. So she shouldn't be able to eat it. So first of all, she could eat. Harezu Osa Bochelas. Here, the details, I don't know if you have to go into the details here. I don't remember the details. They all quote what it says in Ksubas. It has to be a case, of course, he can't ask her to eat. He's obligated to give her food. And if he's not giving her food or whatever, so then she has to take from her own handiwork in order to eat. So whatever the cases are, it talks about here, if he's supporting her, is he giving her, if he's giving her there's also the supporting zonas he's supposed to give her. He's also supposed to give her a more kesef, an allowance of some amount. And the question is her ma'aseh yadayim. If it's what was it? Her ma'aseh go to him. I mean, why is he at all aman damar to say what's with her ma'aseh yadayim? Why is he mahakri makdish? Her handiwork is hers. So no, it isn't hers because she's obligated to work for him. So the details of the sugya we'll be talking about: what is he giving her? What is he not giving her? Does he have a rights to it? But the first thing the Mishnah says, whatever the case is, harezu also v'chelas, that she surely can eat, can produce enough to be able to eat. She has to get food. The husband's obligated to give her food. So he couldn't be makdish the amount of her ma'aseh yadayim, which is necessary for her food. Okay, so even though he was makdish her ma'aseh yadayim, she could, the part that she needs for her food is not hektish. How about Mosar? How about besides that? More than she has to do for her eating. Is that hektish? Is his neder chal on her ma'aseh yadayim? Besides what she has to eat, Rabbi Meir says yes, whatever's more than that. So he has a right to her ma'aseh yadayim, and therefore it's hektish. Whatever the details are, we're not going into the details. What is he giving her? Is he supporting her? Is he giving her a more kesef? Whatever the case is, that he has rights to her ma'aseh yadayim, and therefore he has a right to be makdash it. The Rebbe Yochanan says, no, it's chulin. Why is it chulin? Because ain't the makdash davar shalom b'olam. That's how the Gemara understands. The Rebbe Yochanan says that it's not hektish because he has no right to be makdash it. It wasn't produced yet. That's the statement in Shmuel. And our Mishnah passes like Yochanan Menuri. The Mishnah over there passes like Yochanan Asandla, and it's two different opinions, diametrically opposed. That our Mishnah Yochanan Menuri holds Adam Makdish Davar Shalom, Adam Osa Davar Shalom B'Olam, and there Yochanan Asandla says Ain't Adam Makdish Davar Shalom B'Olam. Stephen Shmuel over there passes like Yochanan Asandla, and here he passes like Yochanan Menuri, and they're arguing. Maybe he doesn't mean to say in our Mishnah, and by us, where he says, he doesn't mean in the whole issue. He just means that he disagrees with the Adafa case. It means there's a machlokes going on. Rabbi Tanakama said no reason to be mefer. Rabbi Kiva said there's reason to be mefer because of the extra that you might make. And Tanakama probably argues and says, no, that's not a reason. We have to understand why. And Rabbi Yochanan Menuri also agrees to the Tanakama that the Adafa is not a reason to be mefer, which we're not going into it right now. I hope by tomorrow we'll get more clarity. But the only arguing are coming to argue that the Adafa is not a reason. The fact that he says that the Gerishin part, he might divorce if is a reason, it doesn't mean to pass like that. It just means to say that Rabbi Yochanan Menuri is arguing with Rabbi Kiva, who says that the Adafa is a problem. No, it's not a problem. So the Gemara doesn't like that either. Only on the Adafa, but he doesn't agree with everything that he says. Then he shouldn't have said Allah Rabbi Yochanan Menuri because he's not passing like Rabbi Yochanan Menuri. Rabbi Yochanan Menuri said that this garsha is a problem. He has to be mefer. So they should have said it differently. He should have said Allah Rabbi Yochanan Menuri ba'adafa. He should have explained himself. He shouldn't have just had a stamp statement. Allah Rabbi Yochanan Menuri. He should have said it's concerning adafa passing like him. Inami Allah Tanakama. Inami and Allah Rabbi Kiva. He could have said three ways. The Gemara gives three choices how he could have said it to be more clear. He could have said Allah or Allah Tanakama that says adafa is not a problem, or Ein Allah Rabbi Kiva who says that adafa is a problem. So the Gemara doesn't accept this. Back to the contradiction that in our Mishnah he paskin Adam Osa Davar Shalom B'Olam, and over there he passed like Rabbi Yochanan Asandla Ein Adam Makdish Davar Shalom B'Olam. Elam Rav Yosef Shnani Konomos, that we thought that hektish and nether is the same thing. Now the Gemara is saying no, it's not the same thing. Hektish and nether is different. Ein Adam Makdish Davar Shalom B'Olam, but Adam Osa Davar Shalom B'Olam in a nether. What's the difference? Shani Konomos, which means a nether. Whole of Adam Osa Peres Chavero all love. Osa Nami Davar Shalom B'Olam Allah. That you could ask the Davar Shalom B'Olam by nether more than by hektish. What's the difference? Because by a nether you do have a right to answer somebody else's thing. Hektish you can't mark to somebody else's thing. But nether you could ask somebody else's thing. On yourself. So since you have a gisha, you have access to answer somebody else's thing, which is not yours. So also you could answer Davar Shalom B'Olam. You see that nether is different than hektish. But the Gemara says no, it's not comparable. Amle Abaye, Bishlam Adam Osa Peres Chavero Allah, Shari Adam Osa Peres Bal Chavero. Ella, yes.
Abai is talking to Shmuel.
He's talking about Rav Yosef. Rav Yosef is one who said
Rav Yosef.
Rav Yosef is the one who said the difference between nether and hektish. And he said, you see that you could ask somebody else's Peres. Rabbi said, no, that's because you're asking somebody, like Chaim David said, you're asking somebody Peres on yourself. So you're answering yourself. You're answering yourself to benefit from those Peres. So you're abailam on yourself. But that's not going to be like our case of Adam Shalom B'Olam. Bishlam Adam Osa Peres Chaveri Olav Shari Adam Osa Peres Bal Chaveri. The same way I could ask my Peres on somebody because the Peres belong to me. I could ask somebody else, myself on somebody's Peres on me because it's me. Ella yes Davar Shalom B'Olam Al Chaveri. No, I surely cannot answer his thing on him. I only can answer either his thing on me or how does it go? His thing on me or answer. How does it go? Two things. Well, my thing on him. I can answer my thing on him or his thing on me because I'm either it's me or it's my thing. But I can't answer his thing on him. And a Davar Shalom B'Olam means I have no connection, I have no shaykhis. So even though it's true that there is a difference, hektish is here by a nether, he could do something which is not his. It's because he's a bailam on himself. But that doesn't make a difference as far as Davar Shalom B'Olam. We have no shaykhis to it. The same way you cannot be makdish Davar Shalom B'Olam, we shouldn't be able to be also Davar Shalom B'Olam. And Rav Huna, this we were thinking about the whole time probably. We had it before. We thought the whole time that he was makdish to Ma'aseh Yadayim. That's like in the air, the thing that is going to be the handiwork which is going to be made. But that's not the point. That's not the case. The case of our Mishnah is talking about that he said that my hands, the woman said, my hands should be usher. The hands are right here. My hand should be usher to you, to my father, to your father. And the hands are in her jurisdiction.
Hmm.
And it's here right now. It's here. So it's not the same as Davar Shlo B'Lo. If she would have said, I'm asking my handiwork, then it's Davar Shlo B'Lo, nothing would take effect. But as bad as, yeah. But if she says, I'm answering my hands, she does have a right to do that because it's Bala Olam. So the kasha was, we thought the Mishnah was a case of a Davar Shlo B'Lo Olam. And the answer is, and the end of the most of Davar Shlo B'Lo Olam, according to Shmuel, like end of the Makish Davar Shlo B'Lo Olam, the answer is that in a case where she said, I'm answering my hands, and the hands is a Davar Shlo B'Lo Olam.
Even though the Pa'ula hasn't, as coming later.
Yeah, but the hands are also,
Right,
the hands
the
are
hands
also. So the produce is going to be Memela also. Yashikov, everybody. Thank you.